All right. So you should be watching this on Thursday, November 7th. But if you're not in school Thursday, November 7th, you're still expected to do this. Okay, so today we're going to translate expressions. Again, this isn't in a chapter. Everyone should be doing this. Okay, so we're going to be able to translate. So remember, translate that word. Translate. Okay, if you have a translator, they go from one language to another language. So they might go from sign language to English, or they might change English into Spanish, or they might change Somali into Spanish if you have somebody really talented that knows both those languages. I'm sure people who live in Spain would know both those languages, or people who live in South America or in Central America, they might know both those languages, but I do not. So translate means to go from one language to the other. So we're going to translate a verbal expression into a verbal means in words. So we're going to translate words into a numerical or algebraic expression, or translate a numerical or algebraic expression into a verbal expression. So pretty much we're going to translate, we're going to go between math and words. And there is a buttload of vocabulary. But you're very lucky because we're going to just do it all right here. Okay? So we're going to list all the different types of words. For some reason this got really small, so you have to write kind of small. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so in the beginning, addition words. So words that come at the beginning of the sentence are going to be sum and total. Okay, words that come in the middle, of course, plus. That always means addition. Okay, increased by. So this one you might have to write small. Added to. And. Okay, now there's these ones called switch order, and we'll talk about why they're switch order in just a moment. So we have more than, added to, and greater than. Okay, subtraction words. So things that come at the beginning would be difference, or we could use the phrase difference between, which is really why we say difference, is because it's the difference between. But you can use either one. Words that come in the middle would be minus, decreased by, takeaway. Don't forget you can pause this video if I'm going too fast. Okay, switch order. There's actually all four of these. We have less than, subtracted from, from, you can just use from, and fewer than. Okay, multiplication words. Words that come at the beginning would be product. That's the only one. And then we have four things here. So normally we just say times. We can also say multiplied by. Okay, and then we can also say doubled. But doubled only works if we're multiplying something by 2. Okay, we can also say tripled, but that only works if we're multiplying something by 3. Okay? All right, and division words, the only one that, there's two that comes in the beginning. We have quotient. And we can say half of, but again, that one only works if we are dividing by 2. Okay, so that only works if we're dividing by 2. Okay, words that would come in the middle would be divided by, which is what we normally say. Split into. Or grouped into, or grouped evenly, let's say that. Okay, so these first four, or first three, and I think there's more on the back. Yeah, there's some more on the back. We're going to take these words and we're going to put them into math. So it says the sum of 7 and 63. So our word is sum, so I'm going to underline that word. And sum, I'm going to try and find, and that is addition. And it came at the beginning, so we're going to add. And what two things am I going to add? I'm going to add 7 and 63. So 7 and 63. And I want to make sure it goes in the same order as what it is there. Okay? 18 less than a number y. So my operation word is less than. So I want to try and find that. Less than is a subtraction word. But notice it's underneath a switch order. What that means is we have to switch the order these come in. So it's not going to be 18 first. It's actually going to be this number y. So that's how we say variables. Okay, so this is actually just y. But really we know a variable is a number. So when we write this in words, we write this as a number y. So less than meant to subtract, and then 18. So that's what these mean. Switch order. Okay, means that we're going to take the two numbers and we switch the order. So this y comes first, this 18 comes second. Okay, 49 divided into 3. So that one's just divided into, it tells you exactly. So 49 divided into 3. All right, back page. All right, again, we're just translating those verbal expressions into math. So number g multiplied by 7. So that just means we're going to take g and we're going to multiply by 7. Now when we have, because it's a number g, when we have a variable, we don't use x to multiply, because if I write g x7, multiplied, I don't know if that's an x, I don't know if that's a variable, or if it's a multiplying sign. So we don't use that x, which I'm going to x out. So we use this little dot. That means to multiply. Okay? The difference of 6 and 43. So we need to know what the word difference means. I'm going to try and find that. And difference is here. It's for subtracting. So difference goes on the back side here. Or subtracting goes. And it's not a switch order. So I'm going to keep the 6 first. And then minus, and then the 43. That would turn into a negative number. Okay, last one, 38 added to a number f. Now added to is really tricky because instantly our brains are like, oh, it's adding. But added to is one of our switch order, meaning we have to take those two numbers and we have to switch the order they come in. All right? So instead of putting 38 first, we're going to start with the number f. So we're going to say f, and then added to, and then 38. Okay, because we're saying 38 is added to number f. What that means is if I started with f, and then I'm going to add 38 on. Okay, so number 2, we're going to translate these numerical or algebraic expressions into a verbal expression in 2 ways. So we're going to have 2 sentences for each. So really try and make sure that one is written first, okay? All right, so this one's adding. We have lots of adding words to choose from, so I'm not going to choose just plus because that would just be too easy. So let's start with total. Okay, total is a word that comes at the beginning of our sentences. So instead of starting with that first number, I'm going to start with the total. So instead of saying 6, I'm going to say the total of, because it comes at the beginning, of 6, and then I don't need to say plus because I already said total. That tells me to add. So I'm going to say 6 and 15. That tells me what 2 things am I going to add together. And then a period. All right, what other word should we use? Let's use increased by. I like increased by. That's one of my favorites. Increased by. That's adding, and it goes in the middle. So what that means is I'm going to start with the first number, 6. I'm going to use that word increased by. and then 15. Okay, next one. In this one we have a variable. So when you do variables, remember we always want to call it a number, and then we'll say u, because that means this u here. The reason why we name it is because eventually we're going to have lots of variables in these that we're talking about. Okay, so subtracting, let's start with, I don't know, I like takeaway. Let's do takeaway. So that goes in the middle, so I'm going to start with a number, and then this word goes in the middle. So the first number is 15. So I'm going to start with 15. I liked that number apparently when I wrote this. Takeaway. And now remember, we don't just say u, we're going to say a number u. Okay. Then I'm going to pick one from the switch order. I'm going to use subtracted from. I like that one, subtracted from. So this one's a switch order. So what that means is we're going to take the two and we switch them around. Okay, and it does go in the middle, but we're going to switch. So I'm going to start with the u, because it switches the order. Okay, so I'm going to say a number u subtracted from 15. Okay, last two we have a dividing and a multiplying. So with dividing, the first word I'm going to use is quotient. Okay, so quotient comes at the beginning. So I'm going to say the quotient of 18 and 55. Now with 55, I haven't written a problem like that yet. It's two numbers. It's 50 and it's a 5. So we use a hyphen. 55. Okay. Another dividing word would be, you could do split into, or grouped evenly, or divided by. Either of those would be fine. I'm going to do split into. Do we do a split into already? No, we did divided into. Okay, so I'm going to say split into. So I'm going to say the first number, 18, split into, oops, 55. All right, so this one has that dot. That means we're multiplying. Okay, so we're going to use some multiplying words. I'm just going to start with the easy one, that's times. So I'm going to say a number n, or not m, a number m. Remember, that's how we say variables. Times 17, which is what we would normally say. That's one that we're taught a lot how to do. Okay, let's pick another way of saying that. So multiplied, it's times 17, so I can't do these. So those are off the table. So either I can use multiplied by or product. I'm going to choose to do product just because it's something different. So that's the beginning of the word, or beginning of the sentence. I'm going to start with the product of a number m, and then I have to say and, because what am I multiplying? This tells me to multiply, and what two things? A number m and 17. Okay, last part says there are many different ways to write the same numerical or algebraic expression using words. Always identify the operation word. So which word are you going to use, or which word did they use before, how we underline those, okay? If you need help spelling these numbers, you can look at Google. Just Google how to spell 55 and type in 55, and it will tell you how to spell it with this 50-5 hyphen. Okay, and that is it.